When you think of NHL legends, names like Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, or Sidney Crosby probably come to mind. They're the faces of hockey, the ones who filled highlight reels and lifted trophies. But behind every superstar, there are countless players and pioneers who helped build the game we love. People whose names aren't always remembered but whose influence still shapes every face-off and power play today. In this video, we're taking a moment to honor those forgotten legends, the unsung heroes who laid the foundation for the modern NHL. These were players, coaches, and innovators who didn't always make the headlines, but they changed how hockey was played, taught, and even watched. Who were they? What did they do to redefine the sport? And why have so many of them been forgotten by history? Stick around, because we're about to uncover their stories, tales of grit, passion, and pure love for the game. If you enjoy learning about hockey's hidden history, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Puck Nuts, and ring the bell so you never miss a story that reminds us what the game is truly about. Now, let's drop the puck and dive in. 1. Changing the roots. The NHL didn't always look like the fast, flashy league we see today. There were no giant arenas, million-dollar contracts, or fans watching from all over the world. In the beginning, it was much simpler and much tougher. Back then, many players had regular jobs outside of hockey just to make a living. They worked long hours, traveled in difficult conditions, and played through injuries because they loved the game. The rules were always changing, and the ice wasn't always perfect, but their passion kept the sport alive. These early pioneers didn't just play hockey, they built its foundation. Every pass, every goal, and every sacrifice they made helped shape the NHL into what it is now. They laid the groundwork so future generations could enjoy better gear, fairer rules, and more opportunities. Without them, there would be no modern stars, no global fame, and no NHL as we know it today. 2. The skaters who did it all. Some forwards in NHL history might not always be mentioned alongside legends like Gretzky or Lemieux, but their impact on the game was just as real. These were players who carried their teams through tough seasons, created chances out of nothing, and redefined what it meant to be a true leader on the ice. Many of them scored hundreds, even thousands, of points, yet their names slowly faded from popular memory. As some hockey writers on sites like Greats on Ice and Yardbarker have pointed out, these players weren't just talented, they were dependable. Game after game, year after year, they gave everything they had. They weren't about flashy moments or fame. They played for their teammates, for their fans, and for the love of the sport. Their consistency, skill, and heart kept their teams competitive and inspired generations of younger players. Thanks to them, hockey evolved, becoming not just tougher, but smarter, faster, and more beautiful to watch. 3. Defensemen who changed how the game was played. When most people think of defensemen, they imagine big players throwing hits and blocking shots, the tough guys who protect their goal at all costs. But some of the most important defensemen in hockey history did much more than that. They didn't just defend, they changed how the position was played. While history tends to celebrate the biggest names, many great defensemen quietly helped shape the modern game. As highlighted by sites like Clutch Points, some of these overlooked players brought new ideas to the ice. They could skate smoothly, make smart passes, and even join the attack when needed. Their style helped coaches rethink strategy, turning defense from a purely physical job into one that demanded vision and creativity. They showed that a defenseman could control the flow of a game, not just stop it. Thanks to them, hockey became faster, more balanced, and more exciting to watch. 4. Goalies and the evolution in the crease. Goaltenders have one of the toughest jobs in all of sports. They face flying pucks, constant pressure, and often have to save their team when everyone else is exhausted. Over the years, goaltending has completely changed, and many of the techniques used today were created by goalies who never got enough credit for their innovation. As hockey historians and sources like Wikipedia note, styles like the butterfly, where the goalie drops to his knees to cover the lower part of the net, were developed and perfected by goalies who dared to try something new. These players didn't just stop shots. They changed how the game was played. Their creativity helped teams defend smarter, influenced how coaches built their systems, and even shaped the design of modern goalie gear. They may not have been the flashiest names in the sport, but their fingerprints are everywhere, in every save, every shutout, and every defensive strategy we see today. 5. The forgotten names that still matter. Now let's talk about a few of the greats who don't always get the love they deserve. Not because they weren't amazing, but because time and bigger names have pushed them into the shadows. These players gave everything to the game, and their stories deserve to be remembered. Take Steve Larmer, for example. He played every single game for 11 straight seasons with the Chicago Blackhawks. That's true dedication. He scored over 40 goals multiple times, but somehow never made it into the Hall of Fame. Then there's Gary Suter, a defenseman who won the Rookie of the Year award and became one of the best blue liners of his time. Yet he's rarely mentioned in all-time greats lists. Dennis Maruk is another name worth knowing. In the 1981-82 season, he scored an incredible 60 goals for the Washington Capitals, a number only a handful of players have ever reached. And while we mentioned Paul Gascoigne earlier as a football example, his story shows how every sport has brilliant players who never get enough spotlight. Finally, there's Jean Rattel, a forward who quietly scored over 200 career points, making him one of the best to ever play. Yet somehow, he still doesn't get talked about as much as he should. These players prove that being forgotten doesn't mean being unimportant. Their hard work, skill, and consistency helped shape their teams, influence younger generations, and push the NHL forward. They may not always be in the headlines, but their legacy is written in every game played today. 6. Why they were overlooked. You might wonder why we don't hear much about these players if they were so good. Back then, media coverage wasn't as strong as it is today. So many stories were forgotten. Some players also played beside bigger stars who took most of the spotlight. Plus, records and stats weren't always tracked properly. Despite that, these players still gave everything to the game. They didn't have social media, global fame, or big sponsors, yet they shaped the NHL we know today. Their impact reminds us that greatness isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's quietly built behind the scenes. 7. How their legacy lives on today. Even if you don't know their names, you've seen their impact every time you watch a game. The way teams train, defend, and score today all comes from the players who came before. For instance, it's now normal for defensemen to join the attack, but that idea started with risk-takers who changed the rules of the game. The butterfly style that most goalies use today came from those who dared to try something new. Forwards who play fast and stay consistent follow the example of players like Steve Larmer, who rarely missed a game. Their legacy still lives on in every rink. 8. Stories worth telling, a few deep dives. Here are a couple of stories you might enjoy. Real moments that show these forgotten legends in action. Steve Larmer's durability. Larmer played every single game for 11 straight seasons. That's rare in a league filled with injuries, tough travel, and physical play. It shows a commitment and physical resilience that many NHL stars lean on today. Dennis Maruk's 60-goal. Season scoring 60 goals in an NHL season is elite. Maruk did it in an era when offensive systems were different, goalies were tough, and defensive structures were evolving. That season proves he wasn't just good, he was exceptional for his time. These stories help us see why forgotten doesn't mean forgettable. 9. Why we should celebrate them. If you truly love hockey, you're not just cheering for today's stars or the richest teams. You're cheering for a story that's been built over generations. Every era, every rink, and every player has added something to this game. Remembering the forgotten legends helps us see the full journey, where hockey began and how far it has come. It also reminds us that every player matters. The game isn't only about trophies or highlight goals. It's about effort, teamwork, and the quiet moments that shape victories and memories that last long after the final buzzer. 10. What this means for fans and future players. For fans, the next time you watch a game and see a player make a clever move, take a moment to notice it. That play might carry the influence of a legend from years ago. When a defenseman joins the attack, when a goalie calmly plays the puck, or when a forward scores late in a tough season. That's history living on in the present. For young players, remember that real inspiration doesn't only come from big names or fame. It comes from those who worked hard, stayed consistent, and kept improving. The forgotten legends taught us how to grow, adapt, and never give up. Final thoughts. When the lights shine bright, the crowd roars, and the puck hits the ice, the modern NHL feels like pure magic. But behind that magic is a long history, built by players, coaches, and dreamers who never got the full credit they deserved. They were the ones who made the ice safer, the skating faster, and the game smarter. They helped hockey grow beyond borders and become the global sport we love today. So the next time you cheer for your favorite team or player, remember, you're watching more than just a game. You're watching the legacy of those forgotten legends who played not just for fame, but for the future of hockey itself. Thanks for being here and joining me on this journey through hockey's hidden history. If you enjoyed this story, give it a like, subscribe to Puck Nuts, and turn on the bell for more deep dives into the stories that built the game. Now, I want to hear from you. Which forgotten NHL legend should we talk about next? Drop their name in the comments below, and let's keep honoring the heroes who shaped the ice.